In this video, we're going to take up the practice problems that were included in your lesson on compounds. So you had to figure out what type of compound was shown in the picture here, and I wanted evidence based on composition and also structure. So if you look at the composition, meaning what it's made up of, you'll see it's made up of a metal and a non-metal. So that I would say is the easiest composition to look at. The easiest evidence to look at. When you have metal and non-metal, you know that it meant that it was ionic. The structure and shape, you can see it's a crystal structure, a crystal lattice. And as we learned before, ionic compounds exist as crystal lattice structures. You could have also said there's ions in there, and so because there's ions, that's part of the composition, right? Ionic compounds have ions in them. So then you have to figure out if you had ionic compounds or molecular compounds using the formulas. And really it's about knowing if you have metals and nonmetals in your compound. So again, you have to know what metals and nonmetals are. So if we come here, we can see you have a metal element, sodium, and nonmetal element, chlorine. So this makes it ionic. Metal and nonmetal, ionic. This is a nonmetal, so is this, so covalent or molecular. C, H, O, all nonmetals, so covalent. Ca is a metal, F is a nonmetal, so ionic. H and O are all nonmetals, so covalent. Mg is a metal, so ionic. Aluminum is a metal, oxygen is a nonmetal, so ionic. C and O, both nonmetals, so covalent. Al is a metal, N is a nonmetal, so ionic. Cu is a metal, O is a nonmetal. So ionic again because we have metal. Now this one is interesting. I want you to stop and pause for a second when you were doing this. You'll notice that there's big C, little o. This is not a compound. A compound has two uppercase letters in it at least, right? Because there's two different elements in it. So Al and O, uppercase, uppercase. This only has one uppercase letter. So this is a symbol for an element. If you look closely, it's this element over here. So this is not ionic, this is not covalent, it's not a compound. So, not a compound. This is simply the element cobalt. So it's important to pay attention to detail because in chemistry, the smallest difference makes a big difference. For example, H2O. You can drink that, that's water. H2O2. There's a small difference here. There's two O's instead of one. You might think, okay, Mr. Yefrate or your teacher, whoever's your teacher in grade 10, or whatever science course you're taking, is being very, very picky. But no, that's how picky chemistry is. You can drink this, but this you cannot drink because you have one oxygen different. And that makes a huge difference between the properties of the compounds you're dealing with. So when we're looking at uppercase letters, we're not being picky. This is the element, this is the compound. They both have very different properties, and you use them for very different things. So that's why it's important to be very, very, very detail-oriented when it comes to the sciences, or really anything in life, right? Details are important. So in this video, we took up properties of ionic and molecular compounds. We saw we did some practice problems and basically applied the properties and composition to the practice problems. In the next video, we're going to do a quick review of classification of matter, which you saw in grade 9. It's just a brief overview. Please make sure you read it over, and if you need extra support, you can just watch the video lesson to make sure you get the extra support to review it.